All right, everyone, good morning. We got still about 3.5 minutes, and then we'll get today's meeting underway. But hope you guys are having a good day so far. Nice start to the day. Hey, Ryan. Cool. Hello, Stephen. How's it going? Hi, Julia. Hi there. Hello, Elif. Hey, Grant, and hello, Dimitri. Welcome back. Couple minutes to go, and then we should be set. Hey, Alex, good to see you too. Hey, Abby. Quick little cameo there. Morning, Finn. Hi, Drew, Amanda, and all the rest. It's good to see you guys today. Hi, Brian, Kylie, Marin. Cool. Hi, Nicole. Okay, guys, well, let's get started. Thanks again, as usual, for all of your hard work this term and your continued attendance. Please, if you do not mind, go ahead and make sure to put in a comment. I think probably most of you here have already done it, so that's good to know. Hey, Brian, good to see you again. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. Let's just kind of jump back into our meeting. We have a few more notes that we have to finish to try and catch up somewhat, and we should be all good by the middle of next week, I predict, based on the plan that I have to get us through these notes. So let me remind everyone here about the last things that we were talking about on Monday in the previous lecture. So we were working through, first of all, I talked to you guys about the prompts and stuff. And then we took some time to wrap up the last few notes of Ernest Nagel's essay. And now what we're doing is finishing up the summary of the Pascal's wager. So Pascal is one more author that is given an argument to try and establish that you should believe in God. And let me just walk you back through his argument one time. He says at the beginning that it's not possible actually to prove whether God exists or not. So he's not at all trying to do the same exact thing as, say, the other authors like Anselm or Taylor. He says this is beyond the power of the human mind to prove, because if there is a God, he's infinite and we are finite, and so he thinks there would be no way for us to have the ability to prove his existence or non-existence. Therefore, he says, not knowing which one it is, all you can really say is for certain is that he either exists or doesn't. It's like it's this either or. It's got to be one or the other, but we don't know and we can't know which one it is. So we're put in a position where we're forced to wager on the topic of whether we believe in God. And he compares this, wager idea to a real coin flip wager where there's heads or tails and you don't know which side will land, but you are going to bet on one of the two sides. In some cases in life, you might not like to wager on anything. You just say, I'm not going to place a bet. But he says with this wager about whether God exists, you're kind of locked in and you're forced to take a side, because even a person who says, I've got no interest in this question and I don't take any position, this is equivalent to non-belief. And so he says, one way or the other, you're going to have to make a choice about this question. And so what's the better bet for you then? That's his real next step. What is the better bet? Meaning, which bet out of the two choices, believe or don't believe, would hold out the greatest possible benefits and the least possible costs? Cost-benefit analysis, risk versus reward. So he looks at it this way. If you believe in God, then we don't know. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. Who could tell? But if you are right, then God would reward you with heaven. And if you're not right and there's no God, well, there's not anything that you've lost. I mean, there's no God in that case, so it's kind of just like a neutral outcome. But suppose that you take the other bet and you don't believe in God. Once again, he's saying you don't know whether this is true or false, but let's assume that there is a God. Well, if there were and you didn't believe, then you'd not get the rewards of heaven, or you might be punished with hell, which is terrible, right? That's the worst case. If you don't believe in God and there actually isn't one, then I guess that's being correct, but there's no actual benefits bound up with it. So he thinks it's really all possible downside with no upside on this side of choosing not to believe. And when you choose to believe, you might benefit and there's no real risks. So why take all these risks when you don't have to and the other bet is open to you? That's basically it. It's like promote your own self-interest, be risk-averse, and just choose to believe in God on that basis. I'll read a little of his discussion then, and you can sort of, we'll close his essay now with that. He says, if there is a God, he's infinitely beyond our comprehension. Since being indivisible and without limits, he bears no relation to us. We're therefore incapable of knowing either what he is or whether he is. That being so, who would dare to attempt an answer to that question? Going on a little further, he says, let us then examine this point, and let us say either God is or he is not. But to which view shall we be inclined? Reason cannot decide. At the far end of this infinite distance, a coin is being spun, which will come down heads or tails. How will you wager? Reason cannot make you choose either, and reason cannot prove either wrong. Okay, so he says then, you must wager, there's no choice, so which will you choose? Since a choice must be made, let's see which offers you the least interest. And then he goes on further and says, you'd have to play, and it would be unwise of you, once you're obliged to play, not to risk your life in order to win 3 lives at a game in which there is an equal chance of losing and winning. But there is an eternity of life and happiness. That being so, even though there were an infinite number of chances of which only 1 were in your favor, you would still be right to wager 1 in order to win 2, and you would be acting wrongly, being obliged to play, in refusing to stake 1 life against 3 in a game where out of an infinite number of chances, there is 1 in your favor, if there were an infinity of infinitely happy life to be won. This is more the key passage I wanted to get to right here. But here there is an infinity of infinitely happy life to be won, 1 chance of winning against a finite number of chances of losing, and what you are staking is finite. That leaves no choice. Wherever there is infinity and where there are not infinite chances of losing against that of winning, there's no room to hesitate. You must give everything. And thus, since you are obliged to play, you must be renouncing reason if you hoard your life rather than risk it for an infinite gain, just as likely to occur as a loss amounting to nothing. And actually, one more quote I wanted to mention here. He says, if you win, you win everything. If you lose nothing. Do not hesitate then. Wager all that you have. So yeah, it's just the safer bet, basically. And I hope that now kind of is a clear point that the authors tried to make. So another attempt to establish the belief in God in the audience that reads the paper, but not on the basis that he thinks he's directly proven the case that God exists. Rather, he says, in the absence of certain knowledge, just kind of like play it safe and believe in God, because there's a possible reward there if you do. There's no risk if you're wrong. Whereas to not believe is the converse. Okay, so with that, let me just get one thing. I want to get a beverage, kind of just have something to drink. I'll be right back. Watermelon flavor, it's pretty good. Okay, so yeah. Now then, we have to start to get into the objections and criticisms to this work of Pascal.